In this video, I want to look at how to read a z-score table. So I'm going to motivate that with this example. The salary of a particular job is normally distributed with an average salary of $1,050 per week and a standard deviation of $20. What percent of workers at this job make less than $1,000 per week? Okay, we got our average here, standard deviation, and we want to know what percent make less than $1,000 per week. So let's take a look at this as a picture here. So we have normally distributed salaries, this bell-shaped curve. We've got our average salary here of 1,050, and we've got our standard deviation of 20. All right, so if we want to think about z-scores, we're thinking about how many standard deviations from the mean. So the mean has a z-score of 0, and the standard deviation is 20, so this is $20 less, 1 standard deviation below the mean, 2 standard deviations below the mean, 3 standard deviations below the mean, and here's the guy we're looking at. We want to know how many people make less than $1,000. So this is our $1,000 mark right in here somewhere. Okay? And then of course we have above the mean 1 standard deviation, 2, 3. So let's get the z-score for 1,000. Now we could probably guess what it is here because 1,000 is halfway between 1,010 and 990, so it's probably going to be negative 2.5, right? There is a little formula for z-score, so let's just go ahead and go over that while we're here because they're not always this nice of numbers. So we want to take our score and subtract the average. Right? That's going to give us negative 50. So what that's representing is where does our number lie in relation to the mean? It's 50 below the mean. This is 50 below the mean. Well, how many standard deviations is that? Like if each step was a standard deviation, we would divide that by 20 and we get negative 2.5. It's negative 2.5 steps if each step represents negative 20 below the mean, or negative 2.5 is telling you below. So now, what I really want to talk about is how to read a z-score table. So this is an example of a z-score table, and I'm going to zoom in on this a little bit so we can kind of see what's happening. These, I just picked out part of it. There's actually positives and stuff as well. So let's zoom in on what we want. Alright, so the way to read this is your z-score. These are the ones place, the tenths place, and then these are the hundredths place right here. So for example, this number, let's say, no, let's pick this number. This number right here represents a z-score of, boom, boom, here. That represents a z-score of negative 3.15. Negative 3.15. Alright, these are the ones, the tens, and the hundredths. Now remember, our z-score was negative 2.5 or negative 2.50. So we go negative 2.5, and then the hundredths place is 0. So this is our this is our percentile for our z-score right here. Okay? Does that make sense? So let's say our z-score, let's say we want to know how many people made less than $1,005. Okay, remember the average was, average salary was 1,050, so that would be negative 45, or 45 below the mean, divided by 20. What would that give us? Let's see. That would give us negative 2.25. Okay, where's that on the table? Can you see? So you'd go negative 2. Oh shoot, it's not on my table. Here, I'll pull in the rest of it. Okay, there I made it a little bit bigger. Negative 2.25, we'd go to negative 2.2. So we're just looking at this part right here, negative 2.2. That's here. And then the hundredths place is a 5. Oh, that's kind of dark. Let's do a different one. That's hard to see. The hundredths place is 5. So we'd go to here, that's the hundredths place, and then we'd, just find where those connect to each other. Okay, so let's use, how about purple? So we'd go this way, on this, and then we go this way, like that. So our number, our percent would be that, which is 1.222%. That's just the example if the salary was less than $1,005. But ours was $1,000, right? And our z-score, back here to our problem, our z-score was negative 2.5. Okay, so negative 2.5 has no hundredths. So there's negative 2.50, so that's right here. That's the number we want, which is 0.00621. Let's go write that over here. Okay, 0.0, so ours is 0.00621, right? 621. Okay, so as a percent, I'd move the decimal 2 places, and it's still less than 1%. It's about 0.6%. So what it's saying is this area here to the left of 1,000 is not even 1% of the people. So that would mean less than 1% of the people make less than $1,000. Now, if I wanted to know what percent make more than $1,000, I can use the fact that this is 100%. This represents 100% of my data. The numbers from the z-score table tell you what percent of data is to the left or less than. So if I know that this is less than $1,000, I can take 100% minus 0.621%, and I would get 99 point, what would it be, 379? So 99.379% of people make more than $1,000. Alright, so that's how you read the z-score table. These are your ones and tens, these are your hundredths, and you have to line them up and get your percent.